Welcome back, Overcasters. Jay here with the OverMangaCast to get you in the mood. That's right, it's lovey-dovey time! This week on the OverMangaCast, we read 100 Girlfriends Who Really, 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 Really Love You, written by Rikito Nakamura. We read chapters 1 through 20. From all of us at the OverMangaCast, happy Valentine's Day.
Hello everyone, my name is Sam, and welcome once again to the OverMangaCast. This week, it is a very special episode once again, because it's the month of love. We are coming up on Valentine's Day. And because, I certainly don't have anything to do, we have decided to read a harem comedy, The 100 Girlfriends Who Really, 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 Really Love You. I have to count that on my fingers every time just to make sure I hit all 5. Also called 100 Kanjuro, which is just much easier to say, so I'm going to stick with that one. As always, here at the top of the program, we like to talk about what our experience with the property we read is. For me, this actually comes at the suggestion of one of my friends who is also a listener of the show. Hi, John. Thanks for the recommendation. We were in the voice chat on Discord one day, probably before doing our usual Exalted session, and just got on the topic of like harem manga somehow, and he said that he had been reading this and thought it was really good. So when we were thinking of a Valentine's Day episode, I threw it out there, and now here we are. Beyond that, my only understanding was the premise, which we will get to. Jacob, how about you?
Absolutely no knowledge base in this whatsoever. It was a funny title suggested, and that was really all I had needed to yeah, sure, that sounds fine. And now here we are.
Okay, and Matt?
I think I'm only barely more literate of it than Jacob, because I think I had heard, or I'd read on probably our manga, people occasionally post things from this, but I never looked into it. Like, I just, funny clip, and then I move on.
And Jay?
Well, for this particular series, not too much. However, as far as harem and reverse harem, I have read, played, watched hundreds of hours, so I would figure myself to be some sort of a professional.
Some sort of connoisseur of smut, if you will.
I am not ashamed by that title, but sure.
And we open our romantic adventures with our main character, one Aijou Rentaro, a hopeless romantic as he is graduating middle school, getting ready to go to high school. And what better day to do a love confession than the last day of middle school? He goes, confesses his feelings for a girl, and gets shot down immediately. And we learn that this is not the first time on his walk home with a nameless friend who doesn't come up again, to my knowledge.
The same high school.
He's literally nameless friend A, I believe.
And this is, in fact, poor Rentaro's 100th rejection. Ouch. Now, you might be wondering, how does a young man of his age have 100 rejections? He started right out the gate.
When he's 8 months old.
Yeah.
8 months old, that was it. I blanked on it. But yeah, he was 8 months old when he first attempted to ask a girl out, and it's only been downhill from there for him.
I gotta say, the panel of a baby being rejected and just the despondent look in his eyes.
Another baby.
That holds a special place in my heart, and just weirdly out of context panels that you could never possibly explain, but they're funnier for it.
Just more impressed they were able to communicate that, especially for a young infant who might not be up to par with, love or attraction, and
they're not biologically compatible with that yet.
Well, we learn pretty soon, because Rentaro, desperate for any sort of aid, turns to the divine as he goes to a shrine and prays for luck and love. And what should happen but the god of love manifests to give him counsel.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. This is the point where I have to be the curmudgeon again, because this first chapter, and particularly this scene, really annoyed me. It really put it off on the wrong foot for me. The sheer amount of fourth wall breaks
Oh, there are a lot.
annoyed me.
Oh, then you will not like this series, because this series does not like.
Well, the thing about it is it mellows out to the point where the fourth wall breaks. This first chapter, like, it gave off the dual impression of, one, I'm a parody, so you can't criticize me, which that's gonna make me not like you really fast. And then the other problem was it gave me the very strong impression that this was a harem comedy written by a harem comedy parody that was written by someone who loathes harem comedies, which is an awful combination and kills the humor dead. Now, with all of that said, the further it went, the less egregious all of those problems got, and I didn't hate it by the end, but I was I like, through the first chapter, I'm like, oh god, this is going to be a hate read for me. I am not going to like this. It went to, it's all right by the end, but the first part...
I gotta say, my take of, like, the first part is, I kind of got the vibe that the mangaka, the writer at least, because this is a two-person team, but was mostly just like, hey, here's a whole bunch of, like, intro stuff you need to start this thing. Come on, let's go. There's a lot of, like, let's get to the, like, meat of this, and are just like, come on, let's skip past this. Here's a bullshit explanation. Come on.
Getting our premise out of the way. Go, go, go.
The stupid premise, I'm aware. We're just moving past it.
Yeah, and it came off as try hard to me is sort of the problem for me.
Yeah, fair.
Fair.
I mostly excused it because I kind of got, again, my vibe was like, I'm with you, mangaka. I also want to just get to the harem nonsense, because clearly the main plot of this isn't going to be the backbone of this series. So.
Exactly, yeah. And the fact that it did manage to get past this is the reason why I also retroactively gave it a pass, but it didn't feel that way to me in the moment. Yeah.
In the moment, yeah.
But speaking of the moment, let's actually dive down into what's going on here. The God of Love basically explains to Rentaro that he is going to find his soulmate when he enters high school and will fall deeply in love and be together. And then proceeds to mention, oh, by the way, there's been a clerical error. You don't have one soulmate. You have 100. What?
That very phrase is just very, very stressful.
I have what? You have 100 true love of your life soulmates.
That's expensive.
So have fun with that, kid. Bye.
Vanishes into the ether.
Then the narrator takes over, because despite the fact he just graduated junior high and has been given the information that when he starts high school, he is going to find the love of his life, the narrator then says, we're going to skip straight to high school now.
Yes.
And I'm like, cool.
To be fair, what is there to cover in that time period? But
him dreading, like, finding, like, yeah, you're right. There's he goes and does summer. There's really nothing there.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly.
Our boy Rentaro is in high school. He's going about his first day, and he's like, okay, so something's probably going to happen, but when it happens, it happens. I'm just going to go about my day. And he bumps into two passerby in the hallway, knocking the three of them down. And as he's going to apologize, he meets the eyes of these two girls, and ba-bum, a shock runs through all three. The power of love at first sight. These are the first two soulmates.
Initially, the way that the God of Love talks about it, it's like, you're going to feel a shock of electricity through your body. It's going to be incredibly unpleasant. I think that's where I got the vibes of, this is a parody from someone who doesn't like the genre element of it, because it's like, okay,
I kind of want to see Matt's isekai.
What?
No, I don't want to read that, please.
We have now met our first two of the soulmates. We have Hanazono Hakari, who is quite
Voluptuous.
endowed, and Inda Karane,
Who is less so.
who is less so.
We get
very soon about it.
This will get worse, and I do mean it when I phrase it that way. We get that classic issue with Japanese fan service where all the female characters are either flat, washerboard flat, or so voluptuous they don't look like people anymore. And there's very rarely anything in between, which is...
I think now is as good a time as any. I feel terrible for these girls' spines, considering how they're posed in a lot of scenes.
Yeah. I mean,
It's fine.
I feel terrible for Hakari's clothes. They look like they are constantly in a state of extreme distress.
Don't get me started on people wearing clothes that I don't understand how they put them on.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those ones where it's very much a personal preference thing for me, but like it does bug me in a lot of anime and manga where nobody has a realistic body. No female character has a realistic body shape or doesn't look like a lolly.
To be honest, I don't know because we don't get to see any other people. Maybe Rentaro just lucked out and got like the super weird girls with like ridiculous,
all the extreme body shapes. Yeah, no.
We only have 100 soulmates to work with. We have to make sure we hit every tag.
I'm aware that, like, from the context of this series, that is why. And, like, that's sort of to be expected. It's just, I can't help but comment on, because it's like, I like me some good waifus, but so many times it's always, you get one of the two extremes. Neither of them particularly appeal to me. So, but,
there's 100. I'm sure you'll find one.
Like, everyone has different tastes.
I believe this is the X-Men approach of harem manga.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. This is absolutely an X-Men situation where if you don't like that one, you'll end up liking somebody else.
And somehow they'll shoehorn Wolverine into all of them.
I do feel to some extent there are bits that may backfire on the series, but we'll get to that.
Does this mean Karane is the Wolverine?
She kind of is.
She is. She's actually. Oh man, she even has the height thing too. They forget about Wolverine a lot. Like he's pretty short as far as heroes go.
I have no reference in this. Okay.
Like Wolverine is kind of basic. He's got regenerative powers. He's super durable, and he has a thing that make punch good. Karane is kind of basic in that she's a factory model tsundere. She's also the straight man of the manga, which is said explicitly at one point.
It's said explicitly. I also find it sort of interesting that Karane is the straight man, given some things that happen later.
She's very much not, if you catch my drift.
Over the course of this, I think Karane is beginning to realize some things about herself in particular, even though it technically applies to all of them.
Yes, this is an entire journey on exploration, like young love, young love exploration.
He meets these two girls. They talk for a brief second, and then an announcement on the loudspeaker comes up about it's like a rumor that if you present
it's two upperclassmen are walking by in the hallway talking about it. Yeah,
it is overheard one way or another that if you find a pink 4-leaf clover, your love confession will be accepted for sure. And both of these girls are like, I don't know why, but this Rentaro guy is literally the hottest human being I have ever witnessed before in my life, and I want to spend the rest of my life with him.
Yeah, the god of love in the beginning mentioned something about how women always fall in love at first sight, and it always takes longer for men.
So this manga makes some very sexist claims. Yeah. I like to pretend it doesn't because...
Let's just try to unpack the fact that this was an announcement made. We don't know if it's public or a private school, but a school, a place of learning in general.
Well, hold on. I'll stop you right there. I don't see anything in this manga that leads me to believe this school is a place of learning.
That's fair.
For all I know, Rentaro applied to the I want to get married high school, which, actually for his character makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that does make sense.
Legal,
but I wouldn't mind if that had been an option for me.
Is that if that's a matchmaking high school? Do you already know you're going to be a loner for the rest of your life?
They spend an entire day from like the end of their first class all the way to sundown on the roof at one point. I'm inclined to agree with Matt. I don't think any learning is happening at this school.
Only learning the language of love.
Yes, indeed. So our two new heroines go rushing off to find these 4-leaf clovers. Catch up at the end of the day. Apparently Rentaro has been at the school way past end of day, helping a random teacher find his contacts. And as he is leaving, he finds our two heroines crawling around still looking for these clover.
Karane is like extremely aggressively tsundere about the whole I forget what excuse she gives, but she claims she's not looking for it.
Oh, it's so tsundere, it wraps around back on itself.
Yeah,
to the point both of the characters are like, what, did you just convince yourself that he asked you out? What?
Basically.
Yeah, because like both Rentaro and Hakari are both immediately like, look, we know you're tsundere. Like you're going through the motions. You don't have to.
I mean,
you don't understand. She has to.
Even Rentaro picks up on the fact that she's tsundere and like immediately announces it in case it wasn't immediately apparent. You're such a tsundere.
When he meets the two of them and they're because it's the tsundere and the dare, which is usually how, like, you know, if you have like the two romantic rivals, like the two main romantic rivals in a series like this, usually are a tsundere and a dare. Because he has been told he's going to meet 100 true loves, he meets them, has the little spark with them, and then is like, okay, got it. You're the dare, you're the tsundere. Cool. Okay, moving on.
It's part tsundere, part dare, part yuri, part...
How can I possibly pick between these two most beautiful women? They're both so perfect in every single way. Me, who has faced 100 rejections.
Over the course of their shenanigan-filled conversation, both of them ask him out, and say he has to choose, and he's like, I can't.
Realistically, I cannot. I like you both equally in different respects. They're just different, but I love both of them very intensely.
One of the things that I actually really liked is when Rentaro is walking home, for a brief moment, he has an idea of, I know, I'll pretend to choose one of them and then go to the other one and say,
I'll reject both of them when they're both there and then date them both individually in secret.
A shitty reason.
For a minute there, I'm like, dude, you know you have 100 of these coming. That's never going to work. And then immediately, next page turn, it's like, yeah, okay, can I sign, please? I literally can't decide. And he immediately, after having that idea, goes, wait, no, that's stupid. That would never work.
The part of the other reason why he's having so much trouble, because at first he's just having the choice paralysis, but then on the way home, before he comes up with these two convoluted schemes, one better than the other, he is revisited by the god of love, who tells him the other part of the premise.
Yes. The reason that you have these 100 soulmates is because I got distracted watching Ghibli movies and accidentally put 2 extra digits on your tracker.
Reasonable excuse. I understand.
You what? Why are you watching movies while you were working?
I mean, to be fair, it is Ghibli movies. Like it
exactly.
If it was anything else, that might be
It's Laputa. Everyone loves that one.
Yeah, soundtrack.
And more importantly, he also gets the information that if someone is rejected by their soulmate, it's not very clear. They either die of heartbreak or it's implied there is some final destination shenanigans that causes them to die shortly after.
Explains it is that essentially it takes a certain amount of luck to find your soulmate. So if you bypass and essentially throw away all that concentrated luck, the rest of your life you will have no luck.
And therefore you get bad ended.
Yeah, you will have run out of luck.
Yeah, so they die of either heartbreak or final destination shenanigans. As stated before, this premise is not particularly
subtle,
well thought out, but that's not the point.
It is the bare minimum to justify to give you the thing to hold on to justify, you know, why doesn't he just pick one? Oh, he can't. They'll die. Cool. Good enough for me.
I will say one of the things that won me back to this series pretty quickly is they do a really, really, really good job of making Rentaro. He comes off as incredibly sincere. And like there's the whole they die if they don't, you know, if they don't get to be with him, you know, the fact they're just going to have to be okay with the fact that there's going to be 100 of them. Like, you know, like there's that element of it, but it's one of those subtle things in the writing of like you can't really like quantify it in a particularly easy way, but he does come off as legitimately sincere that like even if that wasn't true, he still wouldn't want to make the other one suffer for not being with, you know, the one who's meant for them
Yeah.
in that sense.
And more importantly, I don't think he ever tells them that there are going to be 100 of them. I think he keeps everything with the love god secret for some reason.
That does bug me. That does bug me.
There's the whole thing of how are you going to explain that? I get the feeling we're going to reach a critical mass of girlfriends at some point where it will have to be explained.
99.
We didn't we didn't reach that point in this manga if it exists, but whatever. Yeah, no, I actually really do like the way that they handled Rentaro's character, because he's love-stricken, but he's not lascivious. He's a Romeo. He is a person who falls quickly into passionate love. We're just gonna subvert the whole tragic aspects of Romeo and Juliet and just focus on, this. He's got a lot of love to give. In fact, I think there's even a little aside from the love god where it's like when we were assigning when points were being assigned to you at birth, you dumped everything into your luck stat or something, or your love luck stat.
Yeah.
I can't remember it exactly, but it's a sort of subtle implication that he's min-maxed in this regard. And it is genuine affection.
I think it had something to do with like the 100 rejections, like backlashes into this somehow. But then he also mentions it was a clerical error. It's not ultra clear.
It doesn't need to be.
I think one of the big things is the fact that he has a very selfless love to him. He wants to be with all of them, not because he wants 100 girlfriends. He wants to be with all of them because he knows that he can make them happy, and that's what he cares about. And I think it's a big part of the reason why he comes off as such a sincere character and therefore likable, which is important for a premise like this.
So he has yet to become boyfriend to these two girls because he did not give them an answer. And the very next day, he comes up to them, sweaty, dirty, basically says, "Hey, I want to date both of you." And understandably, they're like, "What?" And he reveals that he has found 2 identical pink clovers and is fully willing to commit this. And then Hakari, in all her love and infinite joy and mild perversion, is just like, you know what? I'm totally willing to share him as long as I get to have him. And then the tsundere is just like, well, fine, Baka, I guess.
Yeah, guess. Not like I'm doing this for you, as I'm literally doing this for you. And quest marker ticks up 2 of 100. He has a quest tracker out of WoW. It's great. I love it.
And then we get the first little mini arc, which is essentially just a chapter where the two new girlfriends, realizing they are dating Rentaro, find out he has not kissed anyone yet. So his first kiss is still on the table.
Yeah, this is where we get the flashback to the 8-month-old Rentaro's first rejection. And I gotta lie, I was not particularly happy with that joke in the first chapter when they didn't go into it, but it was pretty cute actually seeing it. Which again, bad first impression, it got better.
Made funnier by you get the girls' reactions to, that's not normal.
Well, the friend has the reaction to it too. I was worried it was gonna leave it at that, but they do make it funny.
Are you a berserker? This is the first of many, many gags. Typically, whenever a new girlfriend is added to the squad, of using their interminably long lunch breaks to do harem shenanigans on the school roof.
I mean, there is literally at least one case where they start the shenanigans. It might even be this one.
It's this one, yeah.
They start the shenanigans in the morning, and the sun is literally going down before it is over.
Yeah, because essentially what has happened is Rentaro has become aware that his 2 girlfriends fighting with each other over the fact that one of them wants to be the one to get his first kiss. And he spends all night thinking about it and comes up with a game?
An incredibly elaborate scheme.
They go into like a full like early Yu-Gi-Oh level of explanation for how this game works. Except
it really do be like that.
I could not tell you how it works. I think it's something about randomly deciding when to pause the music they're listening to because they're putting us.
I do actually know how this actually plays out. Basically, the simplest version of this would be both of the girls randomly choose which side to stand on, and everyone wears a blindfold. Rentaro just kisses one after the other. But there are ways that you could figure out who was first. Like, if one girl waited longer, they'd know. They could potentially hear the voice of someone, and that could tip off who got the first kiss. So that's where the music comes in. And then there are so many steps of random dice rolls being used to prevent people from figuring out, like, by working backwards, who was the first one. It's one of those ones where it's like, it's genuinely clever. I appreciate the ingenuity. This is so much more work than it is worth, and it's still not going to work because you're blindfolded for all of it.
It's like the breakfast machine at the beginning of Pee-wee's Big Adventure. That's really cool to watch. A lot of effort went into this. Why? So basically, it's a whole bunch of comedy beats of that overly complicated plan being too complicated for them to pull off, which I appreciated. They keep messing up for various reasons.
I liked how one of the reasons was one of the very obvious flaws in the plan that I noticed, which was they're different heights.
I love that they correct for that later.
Yeah, they are different heights. So how are you going to actually proceed with the kiss if you can't judge where the mouth is because you are going for a different height on each one?
It goes about how you expect it to go in a series like this, so we're going to save ourselves an Apple iTunes rating and skim over it.
Yeah. This is I think the part where we learn Karane's basically quirk is that she's the tsundere. That's basically her entire character, but Hakari, other than being the Dari, also has a personality quirk, and this is where we learn that for her because of some of the ways that the plan goes awry.
She is extremely cunning, and she uses this cunning to lascivious ends.
Yeah, she is overly invested in physical acts, we can say.
And that's all we'll say for the sake of the iTunes rating. Moving on.
That's all we'll say for now. We'll get to her mom.
Yeah, we can only dodge so much. Anyway, let's get to the end of this arc because this is one chapter we're really dug in on. Essentially, they mess up. They don't end up. It's the end of the day, so they've spent the entire day kissing on the roof or attempting to kiss on the roof. And they get into a fight, and Rentaro is just like, well, this isn't worth it. I can't stand to have one of you feel like you're inferior to the other. I know. If my first kiss is causing this much problem, I'll throw it away. And he proceeds running in the hallway because we skimmed over the beginning of this.
Vice Principal Bad Touch.
Vice Principal Bad Touch.
Tied for the worst thing in this manga.
Yeah, it's there is an old woman principal who loves kissing the male students at the high school she works.
Not just kissing. This is not just a peck. It's
tongue kissing. In all fairness, she does get distracted by one of the girls when Rentaro tries to get kissed by her so that he loses his first kiss. They save him by one of the girls going like, hey, is that the School Advisory Investigation Bureau? And she's like, I can't be fired or worse, and then leaves. And I'm like, oh, good.
I can't be fired on sexual assault charges. Okay, good.
Good. That's illegal in this universe. I'm glad to know.
It is cold comfort. But it's there.
Yeah, it's what was happening should not have been happening. And it was, considering we never see the vice principal again.
No, we do.
We do,
unfortunately.
At the school?
Yeah.
Yep. She does show up.
We see her once more at the school, but we also see her in another completely separate thing, which honestly is a better joke with that character, and I'd rather see her in that context every time ever again.
But he does not get his first kiss. And the three of them go back up to the roof, and they're like, no, don't throw away your first kiss. I'd rather you kiss her than kiss the vice principal. And
both of them say this simultaneously.
Then he's just like, well, I had this really dumb idea from the beginning. What if we all three kiss at the same time? I didn't suggest this because the one downside was you two would be kissing each other. And the two of them just go, well, that's fine, I guess.
Hakari has a very high threshold for things that she's not on board with, but then you get Karane, who this is why I say I think she's learning things about herself, because this is not the only time they do this joke, and they always seem to focus on Karane for it.
It's hard to be a tsundere and then also be legitimately upset about things.
Again, We'll get to the Resident Evil arc.
Yeah, there's no going around that. We'll get to it when we get to it.
We'll get to it.
Yeah, so they do the three-way kiss. It looks as ridiculous as you would expect it to, particularly because the manga does an overhead shot, and they look like people trying to summon a UFO.
By this point, my opinion had changed from I'm annoyed by all of the don't judge me, I'm a parody humor to, wow, the characters are actually endearing. Okay, I can enjoy this now. Because they do a really good job of introducing these three. Like, these three are the mains.
Speaking of introducing characters.
Yeah, we get...
Time for the next one, who, it's hard to say. I think she's, warring for first place as my favorite character in the manga, just overall, because I enjoy her gimmick. It's very funny. Our boy Rentaro goes to the library. He reads romance novels, obviously. He's got the girls with him.
Hakari wants to get cookbooks because he enjoyed the homemade stuff that she had made. So it's like, oh, that's a thing that I can do for all of us. And then Karane obviously tsunderes her way into doing the same.
Yeah, so while they're distracted, he runs into a library staff member, a little student volunteer at the library.
Very short, very mousy.
And ba-bum, the soulmate shock happens. We get a fun introduction to her bit as Yoshimoto Shizuka converses with him by pointing out lines in a book for him to read. And he's like, oh, of course, we're in a library. So he starts pantomiming, and she points at a line like, why aren't you talking? Oh, this is just how she does. Oh, okay.
This is the first bit where, unfortunately, this is another complaint of the series. This is the first bit where they try to do something that's like a particularly serious thing. And this is not the kind of series that does that well, because the character archetype that Shizuka is very cool, very endearing. The reason why, like, she's not actually mute.
She's incredibly soft-spoken and shy.
Yeah, and one of the things that they show is that her mother is actively abusive because she wants her daughter to actually speak like a normal person and like hits her and stuff. And it's like, with this premise, are you really trying to tackle as serious an issue as that? This is not the last time this will happen.
I might have glossed over the fact she hits her. Because I was just like, the mom is like upset that she's pointing at the book rather than talking. And I'm like, depending how long she's been doing this is either something that should be like...
That was my reaction to. It wasn't the fact that necessarily that this was like, she's obviously very frustrated with it because, you know, having to, if she's not the type of person who is, you know, patient and accepting.
Yeah.
I can't read. What are you doing?
Why are you doing this?
Yeah. Why are you pointing at these random symbols?
Especially since she is capable of speaking.
Yeah.
So it's not that she's incapable, especially if it's like her parent. I don't know. We obviously don't have a lot of background information. It's probably in the grand scheme of things not that important, but I'm just saying, like, if she were to, you know, feel comfortable to speak in front of a parent and be calm enough to like listen and give instill confidence to speak, as opposed to even in front of a mom or a parent to still use the book.
Yeah. The takeaway that I got from it was Shizuka is clearly a person who has a very large mental block when it comes to, you know, the basic interaction of speaking, in which case a parent should really be more supportive and understanding than screaming, why are you so weird, you stupid gremlin? And also, we don't know how long Shizuka has been doing this, and if the mother has tried in the past or not. We just have the one flashback, which that can be construed as neglectful abuse of not getting the help a child very clearly needs.
The story skirts around it, which, I mean, like,
obviously it should.
You don't bring it up then in the first place is sort of my takeaway.
I think we're all saying the same thing, really. It's just me and Jay are just kind of going like, there's clearly more to this story, and are at least giving the mom some benefit of the doubt. But it is fair. The only picture we get of the mom is her finally snapping at her daughter and being like, talk like a normal person. And I'm like, you are forcing people to read a book to converse with you.
Yeah. It's effective, but I can see instances where it might be a bit much.
Considering how quickly Rentaro solves the issue, it's like, okay. Because what he ends up, what their whole thing is they both love reading and they connect over that. And
But that's
there
what
is,
I mean. Like, they happen to be spirits who both really enjoy reading. They have a shared interest. And if you don't share that interest, I'm sure her approach to things can be very frustrating.
does I was about to say, does she show an interest in reading? But no, she does in this chapter.
She's also part of the library club. So
he
asks,
he asks for recommendations, and she has like
She has like 50 books on deck ready for him.
But regardless, she has a favorite book. That's the favorite book that she loans to Rentaro. That's the book that she knows by heart to the point that she quotes sentences from it.
She knows where basically every word in that book is, and that's how she can point out sentences to talk with it.
But anyway,
and obviously there's the running gag of how versatile is this book with all of the different sentences that they give her. Like that's played as a joke, and it's funny.
It's an Arthurian night drama, so not very.
yeah, it is appropriate for the situation there, and it is a romance novel. In fact,
she does get some fun quips when her line of dialogue in the background is clearly not fitting at all with what everyone's talking about, so they kind of gloss over her talking.
Yeah.
Because essentially what you're wondering is, how does she interact with these people if she's got a book? What Rentaro does after she gets a little upset because she has fallen in love with him because he is her soulmate, and he sees him hanging out at the park with his two girlfriends, and she's like, oh, he's already in a relationship.
He's too Chad for me.
What she didn't know was he spent all night typing the text of her favorite novel into an app he made that is a text-to-speech app, and he also added people's names in it as a gift for her because he accepts that she doesn't want to talk, but is also trying to help her be more communicative with people in a way that they'll at least accept, because that way you're not forcing someone to look at you in order to interact with them.
Because the block for her is anxiety, and if she can express herself more openly, that will make her more confident in herself and thus could help her find her voice.
She confesses her love fully to him. Moved by this gesture, he goes, well, you're my girlfriend now. And then the next chapter happens. I forget, does the chapter end with him introducing her, or does the next one begin? Because that's always my favorite bit.
I think it does, like, on both ends. The very reasonable reaction of Karane in particular, like, she has the more comedic reaction because Hakari has already accepted, this is my life now, and I'm just gonna roll with it. This has its own benefits, so whatever, I don't care.
Karane freaks out, as one would expect, but because it would shatter the premise of the manga. Otherwise, both of them are quickly, yeah, okay, I guess we'll accept this. She is kind of cute. So, in order to break the ice of this tense new situation, our boy Rentaro, uber prepared man that he is like, all right, we are going to play a game because that's a great way to bond. And we're going to make it even better with a penalty game. We're going to play Old Maid. First place tickles last place.
No one plays the game.
Specifically, the narration box says Old Maid is such a boring game where they are skipping to the end of every game just to give the results. So all the girls are throwing in order to have Rentaro tickle them, and so it is. And now they're like, okay, my desires to be tickled by him have been satisfied. Now I must tickle him. And so they do more rounds where each of them win and he loses. And
I think it's just Shizuka. Yeah, it's just Shizuka who manages to win.
Right.
Because only the winner gets to tickle the loser. So what they do is they team up together to make sure he loses, and then whoever wins ends up being one of them. And it unfortunately is Shizuka, and the other two girls are like, oh no. She's the one who said she can't even kiss a guy until she's married. She's not going to go down and dirty. We would go down and dirty.
Oh, yeah. We
would go so down and dirty on him, put our hands all over him.
Well, Hakari says that.
Hakari would do that.
Hakari makes it very clear what she wants to do with her hands. Karane is more, well, I guess I got to get him back for how he, like she's more like revenge kind of super nonsense. But anyway, Shizuka, super shy, just pokes him, and he seems to then give a pity laugh to her because he's like, you tried, and like he then leaves, because this was all a ploy.
He claims he has to go to the bathroom
because he was laughing too
He
hard.
almost lizzed himself.
Yeah, we find out later. That it was to observe and see if they would get along. We get, in my opinion, one of the better scenes of our reading section because, I mean, to sort of paraphrase it, because considering one of the characters involved is a tsundere, it takes a long time to get around to it. But
oh, she's very direct at the beginning. She's like, when it's someone else,
she's too direct.
When someone else is at fault, she is there because she's just like, Shizuka, what are you doing? Get over yourself. If you like him, say it. Don't. What do you think that? Because Shizuka basically says, well, I'm just a new person here. You two have already been here. And Karane says like, nope. Rentaro chose you. You are an equal part of whatever this is we were going on here. Act like it, because if you don't, I'm taking that as a personal offense. And she's like, what? What? Oh, okay.
This weird polyam BS. This is already beyond the bounds of anything anyone is used to. So just go for it, okay? I guess.
And it does a good job of endearing you to all of them.
I particularly like because Karane getting angry is the end of one chapter, and you're like, oh no, is this going to be the fracture in that? Are we already seeing cracks in this 100 girlfriend pantheon?
Are we going to get drama? No, we're not.
Instead, we get wholesome, and I was so.
I gotta say though, this manga does really good cliffhangers. Like they set it up and then normally let it topple over, but that's funny. So.
Rentaro comes back. He's like, all right, so we're going to play the next round, right? And it's like, Karane, no, we're not. That penalty game that Shizuka gave you was BS. We're redoing that. She's going to actually tickle you now, right? Text to speech. I want to lock lips.
What do you mean by lock lips? I want to smooch, as in to smooch. What?
And smooching was had, and it was very cute.
Everyone smooched.
So much smooching. It's like the back third of this chapter.
If you need to fill in some pages in this manga, just do a 2-page spread of or they don't do kissing. They don't really do 2-page spreads. It's usually just one page, but
it's normally 2 panels of the kiss, and then they'll focus on one of their lips.
There's a rhythm to it that the manga got into relatively quickly.
So now we need to get into the next recruitment arc, and it's like, okay, we've got Dari, we've got tsundere, we've got a small cute one. What do we need next? Aloof beauty. Got it. All right.
I don't remember what Dare Shizuka is, but we need the kudere now.
Yeah, we need the kudere. They're looking at test scores. All the girls did better than Rentaro, and he's very proud of them.
Head pats for everyone.
Head pats for everyone. He gets 6 arms temporarily for all the head pats. I like that pedal a lot.
I will also say that one thing that I'll say that is another like point in the Rentaro is endearing. Like he's like lower end middle. They don't like it's like he's super dumb or anything. Like they don't do that to him, which I feel like could get annoying if it turned into a bit. No, he's just lower end average, which is a fine intellectual place for him to be.
He's clearly got an incredible capacity for studying. He just puts it all into coming up with more shenanigans for his ever-expanding harem.
I mean priorities.
He goes into the classroom because he forgot something. And there is a girl there still studying. And he's like, hey, they posted the test scores. Don't you want to go look? It is unimportant. It is insignificant for me to go look. I already know I got a perfect score.
It would be inefficient.
You did? And she turns to look at him. Yes, I got a perfect score. Eyes lock. Ba-bum. Oh, no.
Why is it every time I leave my girlfriends alone for 2 seconds, I find another soulmate?
It's almost like I'm in a comedy manga or something.
All in the same school so far.
This girl who's in my class I am seeing for the first time.
It's all okay. The first 4 are all in his class. They're all in the same one.
I'm beginning to just think he is just not that observant.
I don't think he goes to class.
Yeah, no, he spends too much time on the freaking roof.
Yep.
So wait, what's the size of the average homeroom in Japanese high schools? He could get a full fourth of the harem in that one classroom.
Well, they're
Go
not
to school. Just go to class, guys.
Rentaro being in a class entirely of girls would not shock me.
This girl, AI Nano, she is logic driven to the point of
being illogical. Like, she says she's hyper rational, but then like
extreme neurodivergence is what I was gonna say.
they phrase it as she's like super smart AI, but then it's more so like she uses the like guise of being more intelligent as everyone to justify doing whatever she's hyper fixated on.
Yeah.
Well, it's also the fact that when she does experience emotion, she's like, what is this?
What is this feeling so sudden and new?
I can't rationalize it.
She has an obsession with efficiency. Like, she needs to be extracting value from literally every waking second of her day. And that's why she's so incredibly good at school, because she's constantly studying. And she explains this philosophy to Rentaro when he asks her out. And she's like, no, having fun, having a relationship, that's inefficient. The only thing a relationship is good for is marriage and producing of children, and I'm not doing that right now, so why would I ever? And he says, okay, just give me a day. Just one day for us to go on a date, and we'll see what happens, all right?
Oh, because that's after she's done the confession to him, and then he goes...
Right, I skipped that.
Yeah.
I skipped one of my favorite gags.
Yeah, because what happens is he cuts himself during the day, and for some reason, Nano goes, yes, you know it would be more efficient than cleaning that or putting antibacterial on it. Saliva's antibacterial, and then proceeds to fillet his finger. And Matt is reading this going, this is some harem manga shenanigans, okay. But then we cut later to Nano at home going, why the hell did I do that? Like,
it's her sitting there at her desk, head in hands, like eyes wide, going, why did I do that?
And then like quick connect, like she writes out digits of pi because that's an efficient use of your time, but it's to like clear her head. And then she goes, well, nope, I'm head over heels in love with this guy, which explains what I did. So I am going to confess to him, get this over with. He can reject me because no one likes me. Problem solved. Confesses to him, and then against...
Yes, I would love to go out with you. Wait, no.
Sorry, no, we're going to have to break up then. I just wanted this love thing over with. And that's when he goes, well, no, one date. I'll take you to have some fun.
You know that emotions don't work like just manipulating flags in a video game, right, girl?
I don't think she does.
Yeah, you know what? You're right.
There is a non-zero chance that she is actually a robot. Nothing supernatural has happened, but they make a point of never really...
If she is actually an android, that would be something.
She is the dark product of machine learning.
I don't think that's going to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did.
So they go on an amusement park date. She is the worst kind of person to take to a place of whimsy because she immediately explains everything away. To the point of going into a haunted house and being like, it's just a person in a costume. Why would you be afraid?
Well, she says that house was full of humans. I was disappointed. And I'm like, does hyper-logical girl believe in ghosts?
Or zombies?
No, she says point blank that is illogical. That doesn't exist. Why are we reacting this way? It doesn't make sense.
They call
it's
it
not
a
logical.
haunted house if it is full of people. That's just a house.
Yes.
They should just take haunted off of it. And they end the date as you do any good amusement park date by going on the Ferris wheel. Unfortunately, she is afraid of heights, which is quite logical because falling is a quick way to die.
It's always good to justify your phobias. That's really how you help them.
Well, I mean, the manga itself, I actually really like this bit because the manga itself actually does frame it that way, that is a problem. And there's a really cute moment of Rentaro being like, look, it's fine that you're afraid of heights. I'm with you. I wouldn't let anything happen to you. And they hold hands and it's super cute.
Mm-hmm. And she's like, doki doki, what is this?
The end of the day happens, and unfortunately, she goes, I had fun, but fun is illogical. It is inefficient. I wish this entire waste of my time never happened. And then Rentaro...
Fun is ephemeral. You can't extract value from it.
That is a direct quote.
Yep. And Rentaro, who has been taking pictures all day on his Polaroid camera, basically.
I love that the manga feels the need to explain that this is a Polaroid camera. It develops pictures instantaneously after it, because like nobody has Polaroids anymore. Everyone uses their smartphones.
Yeah.
Manga, stop making me feel old.
I found that hilarious.
Yeah. And basically, he's got the stack of photos of their date, and he's just like, well, I guess these are worthless then, and I'm sorry I wasted your time. So I'm just going to burn these, because then if they don't exist anymore, there will be no memories of this day, and you can forget it ever happened. And as he's about to burn it, she slaps the lighter and the photos out of his hand and goes, no! My memories! I had fun! Wait, crap, I'm in love with you.
Haha, I knew you would understand the value of enjoying time. And, okay, I gotta say, I really like Rentaro. They do a very good job of making him endearing and sympathetic, which is important for the premise of this manga. This was my least favorite bit that he did, because that's super manipulative, homie.
For me,
he was ready to burn those away in order to force an emotional reaction from her.
Well, see, the way I took it was I took it from a wider narrative perspective, because the thing about Rentaro is I feel like had those been burned, he would have accepted it, because that's the kind of character that he is. And it's really more of it is the subtlest that this series gets, because the whole point of it is you might not be able to extract like objective, quantifiable value out of fun, but self-care is important, you know? And as someone who has struggled with that in the past and to some extent identifies with Nano as someone who can be logical to the point of illogic. I appreciated that from the wider perspective.
I think the manga did a good job of giving because we get a lot of Nano like internalizing that we didn't get from Shizuka. Like we got Shizuka's backstory, but that's about it. Nano, we get a lot of points from her point of view that I think was specifically building up the case that she was in something that needed being snapped out of. So I think the fact that also, again, I'm with Jacob here. I think if his plan had failed and he had burned those photos, he would have been fine with that because that was her decision. I think he just earnestly believed she wouldn't because he knew she was his soulmate. Like I think there is a level of he knew how this was going to go out because you can't lie to your feelings like that. He was just trying to provoke an emotional response because what he's looking for is an emotional answer.
Yeah, I can see that.
It is 100% manipulative. I'm not going to say it's not manipulative. I'm just saying in this exact circumstance, I don't think that was the worst thing you could have done.
Your reaction to it is fair because you had a reaction specifically from the perspective of what Rentaro did, whereas Matt and I were more about like the wider narrative aspect of it. So I totally get why that rubbed you the wrong way. There, I mentioned that the X-mening of the cast may have some potential backfires. There are some cases where if you're not on board with certain things, this manga might lose you in certain places. We'll get to it.
Well, we can get to it right now because they have to introduce the girlfriend to the girls, and the first one they were like, "What's going on?" This one they're okay with it. But not like they're, oh, well, okay, I guess this is happening.
Grudgingly accepting.
I will say my favorite bit to come out of the Nano recruitment arc is as soon as she has internally accepted, I guess we're dating now, she immediately grabs him, pulls him in, and starts making out. And she's like, it is far more efficient to simply go after the things that you want. Yeah. And I'm like, good, thank you. We're not beating around the bush anymore. We're not doing any more of these clumsy me shenanigans.
No, we had Shizuki, who that's her thing, is she needed to learn to ask for what she wants. Meanwhile, Nano's just like, I take what I want.
Exactly. No, and I loved that. I was very appreciative of that.
Ooh, yeah.
But anyway, there was a actually significant amount of emotion in that. So this manga's cadence is we do a serious bit, and then we reward you for sticking around with a fan service arc.
Yeah.
The other girlfriends are jealous that Rentaro's first date was taken by Nano, which, in all fairness, does seem like a thing to be jealous about. He did not ask anyone and kind of just disappeared for a day.
Because reminder, this man is at 3 girlfriends and 1 date.
Yep. So they all decide that it's only fair that they go to the pool for a date.
No, they don't all decide. That was one girlfriend's in particular who had that
Hakari
idea.
was like, I've waited for this moment, as she does most things.
I want to see him in a swimsuit. I'm sorry, no one disagrees with that. And Nano is also very much on board of, yes, good. You know, it's a very efficient way to a man's heart. A sexy swimsuit.
Well, I'm just saying the idea came from one of them in particular.
Yeah, but they end up going to the pool. One of them is not happy with the choice of location, but...
Poor Karane. She is incredibly self-conscious about her lack of opai-ness. We have a good little vignette that I enjoyed where she goes to purchase a swimsuit because she's like, I don't have any swimsuits that are sexy for a date.
I love the Ark of the Covenant shot they do when she finally finds her swimsuit and it's off screen and she just goes, that's it. And I'm like,
That's it.
Oh no, what did she do? Because the next time we see her, she is wearing a coverall. Wait, Jay, is that the right word for what I'm describing?
Usually I've heard it described as a swimsuit cover-up.
A swimsuit cover. I think a coverall is a separate article of clothing.
Coveralls and overalls and are kind of used back and forth.
Gotcha.
I just thought it was a cloak.
I mean, not off brand for Karane.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. It was basically just a cloak that she wore to cover herself up as Nano and Hakari are in their sexy bikinis and Shizuka's in a school swimsuit and a floaty.
Yeah, because we don't get told this until it's already apparent, but she cannot swim. Shizuka has a fun background story in this. I guess we can just go through it now. She gets stranded when the plot happens on the middle of the lazy river, and they set it up as if she's lost in like the wilderness. It's real fun.
It is really funny.
Mary Robinson Crusoe for a minute. She's like, it's like, Shizuka, why are you spinning? And she's going spin in her inner tube. It's very cute.
When she's stuck on the island, the phone that has the text-to-speech app, she just has it raised to the sky. Help me, help me, help me, as everyone is just floating in the lazy river.
Oh, it's great. It's great how she just gets forgotten in the first chapter. Because what happens is Karane sits on the sideline. She's not taking off her swimsuit cover. She's
far too embarrassed.
She is pretending that she is cold and wants to sit on the sidelines and warm up.
No one believes her except Nano, and Nano just believes her because she doesn't care.
And there is a brief bit where
Nano and Hakari have a
opai fight.
Yeah, they have a trial of combat that they are both overprepared for in a location of their choosing.
Mine are firmer, but mine are bouncier.
The consequence of such a fight is
they nearly drown Rentaro.
Rentaro almost like loses blood. Like there's a pool of blood.
A large amount of blood through his nose,
and then collapses face first into the lazy river.
And everyone knows how you solve that is CPR. Nano and Hakari both attempt CPR, but can only smooch.
They attempt part of CPR. They don't actually attempt CPR.
If I remember correctly, not even the helpful part of CPR.
Yeah, no, exactly.
They go to do the breathe-in part and immediately get smitten with, oh, I'm kissing him. It's like, no, you need to stop.
So,
Okay, we need help. We have to go find a male staff member.
Staff member.
Ladies, that might... No. That might not help you the way you're thinking, but okay. But before we can approach that problem, sex pests.
Yeah, there are some
guys.
Pool creeps.
Yeah.
Who, in all fairness, the manga does not depict as if they are anything worthy of human beings. They proceed to mock one of them in the bonus chapters that I really enjoy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no. Full props to the manga. These guys who are using the fact that they outnumber these two girls to try and, get some quality time with them, big air quotes, are portrayed as the subhuman monsters they are. We have a delightful moment where Nano goes immediately for the eyes.
It is the most efficient way to get rid of them.
Look, that's the thing I always say. Go for the knees and go for the eyes. That's how you win.
Oh, my favorite part is the second most efficient way of ending this is she then decides, okay, I'll hang out with you, whatever you creeps want to do, okay? Hakari, you go and save Rentarō. And then Hikari's like, no, I'm not letting you sacrifice yourself because we both love Rentarō and we'll let him die rather than sacrifice. Hold on, what? Guys, stop this conversation. Leave. But fortunately, I suppose, Rentaro, despite the fact he was on death's doorstep, according to the block of text, heard his girlfriends were in trouble and revived himself.
Karane comes over and she sees that
the shenanigans are occurring.
That the sexual harassers are bothering two of her co-girlfriends, and it's like, wait, Rentaro would never let that happen. Where is he? And then sees him passed out next to the lazy river and wakes him up.
Probably gives him actual CPR.
Rentaro, Hakari, and Nano are being harassed by some dudes, and what is happening? I must put a stop to this! Away!
He goes from unconscious on death's door to on his feet and running in an instant.
With the top of his head covered in blood still. But
yes.
My favorite bit is he says he's going to end this. He uses Nano's line of, well, if you need someone to hang out with you all day, I'll do it. And they're like, why would we want that?
That was
then
pretty great.
Then why are you asking my girlfriends about this? What do you mean your girlfriends, you little creep? You don't have multiple girlfriends.
No one has multiple girlfriends. That's a myth.
Yes, I do. They're both my girlfriends. Actually, that's true. We are both his girlfriends. Oh, yeah? Then kiss both of them and prove it. Okay. Smooch, smooch. Okay, we don't want to deal with no hussies. We're out of here. And Rentaro has my favorite line where he hears that, immediately explodes into rage and says, take that back, I'll kill you. As the girls are holding him back, like, it's okay, we got rid of them. But my man's was such a Chad, he's scared off sex pests. Yes. I love it.
Anyway, my other favorite part is immediately after saving the girls, he just goes, hey, where's Shizuka? Did you girls know she can't swim? So if she's missing, that's really bad. Oh, there she is. I'm here. And then proceeds to lift her off the river. And then she's like, smooch. And then she smooches. And he's like, oh, you've gotten so bold in front of so many people.
There is a legitimately very cute moment, which is basically a better version of the hearing her backstory, where she's able to, she's like, oh, I'm so quiet that there's no way he'll ever hear me, but I have to find my voice.
The phone has run out of battery. I have to. The only other way is if I call out, help, and he immediately is like laser locked onto her.
He heard her incredibly quiet voice that he definitely couldn't have heard, but did because it's Shizuki, his girlfriend.
It's a really cool moment.
Anyway, Karane's story gets resolved because Shizuki comes and just goes, hey, I see you're drinking a nice cold beverage. You wouldn't do that if you were chilly. And she's like, you caught me. And he's just like, I bet you're self-conscious about your body. I want you to know you shouldn't be. You're the most beautiful woman in the world to me.
On top of the other three most beautiful women in the world to me.
Yeah.
Well, it goes into, I think that all of you are beautiful in different ways, which, again, it's one of those ones where because they do such a good job of making him seem sincere, it works when it really shouldn't.
Yep. And Karane...
We're kind of meaning against him, but that is what he says.
Yeah, and Karane is just like, what? And he's just like, yeah, let me see your swim shoe. And she's like, okay. And then they do. And she's like, yeah, see how beautiful you are? And then they smooch. And then all the girls splash in the water for a 2-page spread at the end of the...
I have mixed feelings.
How so?
I have just mixed feelings about some of his interactions with all of the girls. And
that's fair.
Particularly about the fact that he goes off independently to say, oh, you're so wonderful. You are, the most beautiful girl. You are the most beautiful. But there's always a but. Or there's always an implied, obviously that's not true given the circumstance that we're all in, but...
Well, here's the thing. He means it earnestly from the heart.
I just think he's just maxed out his charisma. because that's the only way he seems to get this to drive home. But I mean, I just feel like if there weren't like some kind of supernatural forces at play, I'd be just like, excuse me, I'm literally sharing you with 2 other girls.
So Jay, what you're saying is this premise isn't very realistic.
But man, this harem manga.
It's kind of, yes.
He's got charisma 20, speech 100, socialize 5.
I mean, I will dive into
Was that
this.
3 different games, Sam?
Yes, and an impossible situation.
I'll dive deeper in later.
So I'll start off the next one because that'll mitigate some things.
That's good because I need to get a drink for it.
Okay.
Keep that in, Sam.
Because we just had a serious one.
We had the fan service one.
And I don't want to call this one a serious one though, but I guess it technically is.
It tries to be.
I don't think it does.
A very loose attempt.
I think it gives up.
A lot of lines dropped. I don't think this can be serious.
Fair, but
I don't think it should try to be serious.
I don't think this one is attempting. Is the thing.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So good thing Sam's not here. So we start off with the next one. They're in school for some reason, because I guess they're there for a reason. They're definitely not learning, I'll tell you that.
It must be raining. They can't be on top of the roof.
Fair. And Rentaro walks by the chemistry room and just glances in for a second. And just as all his girlfriends walk off panel, which is the only time this can happen, he glances in, and then there is a buxom chemistry woman in some nice glasses. And ba-dum. Soulmate connection.
He doesn't get a good look at her because he was walking past the door.
But like in that split second, he's like, soulmate. And in typical Rentaro fashion, he's like, I'm going to come back later today and deal with this, not immediately, because I've got to go to lunch with all my girlfriends. And then we cut to him coming back to the chemistry lab later that day, where he is looking for her and doesn't find her. In fact, there appears to only be one person in the chemistry lab, younger girl, I guess. She looks like elementary school, I'm gonna be honest, right?
Yeah, she does. Very much so.
She says her name is Yakuzen Kusuri.
This is so cute. Their names are adorable. We'll get into that.
Okay, cool. I'd like to know. So yeah, her whole thing is she loves chemistry, and she loves making drugs, and she loves giving people drugs. And
Jesse, we need to cook.
Yeah, I mean, the funny that you make that joke. She says early on,
how can you know what drugs you like if you haven't tasted them yourself?
I haven't done meth yet.
I would like to try crystal meth at one point.
And that tone doesn't change for the entirety of her character.
Her character loves making drugs. I don't. I guess we should definitely clarify right now for everything. When she says the word drugs, aside from the meth joke, which is definitely played off as a joke,
they make a meth and a cocaine joke, but otherwise it's a vial of her own creation that has some gag manga property.
So it is essentially like, they mention Doraemon a lot. It's that level of, here is a new gadget that does something funny for the chapter. And
it is some alchemist's potion from a fantasy game. At one point, she gives another one of the girls the stand Love Deluxe. It is something.
Yeah. Essentially, that's what this chapter devolves into. Devolves is a poor word, because it is what it's trying to be. It's, here is a drug gimmick. Mm-hmm. It's like, here, do a funny thing. And essentially what it comes down to is she has slipped him a love potion. Rentaro is like, hey, wait, why am I feeling such an attraction to her when she does? The one thing he knows is this child does. Why am I feeling such an attraction to this child? Rentaro, no.
Rentaro, no. But, the important thing is, this is clearly not the person he had the soulmate reaction.
Yeah, she looks completely different. And he's just like, wait, where is this feeling of love coming from? And that's when she says, oh, I gave you a love potion. And he's just like, what? Oh, no. And then proceeds to vomit it up. And she's just like, oh, no, my confession of love was that bad that he'd rather throw up than even think of it. And he goes,
Considering that she drugged him, yeah, that's actually a reasonable person's response.
But then Rentaro, being Rentaro, wipes his mouth and goes, "No, I wanted to make sure that vile potion was outside of my system because I wanted to tell you with my own feelings that I do love you."
I'm now going to start seizing because I am having a love overdose.
She's like, "Oh no, I'm gonna have to give you the potion, the drug
neutralizing drug.
The drug neutralizing drug, which obviously, because this is a harem manga, I have to give you via my mouth." So she drinks it and then kisses him to give him the potion, and he neutralizes and then wakes up to notice, wait a second, that's that hot older woman from this earlier. And she's like, "Yeah, I need you to know, I really messed up making a eternally youthful potion, so my body looks like a child all the time, but I'm actually a grade above you."
So wait, you're my senpai? Yes, and only by taking the neutralization drug can I attain my hot...
My true form.
My hot Android 21 form.
Huh. And just to clarify, you are actually 18 years old. And she's like, yes.
Yes.
Good. Okay, good.
Damn, that's pretty old, actually, because he's a first year in high school.
But the failed immortality drug... we'll get to age differences later. The failed immortality drug is far stronger than the neutralization drug, so I can only keep this form for 10 to 20 minutes at a time.
All you need.
Okay.
God damn it. Like I said, the X-Menning can backfire sometimes, because if you're not on board with certain things.
So now we need to introduce the latest addition to the girlfriend squad, so back to the roof.
Where they live now, I guess.
Yeah, they've got like laundry up here in this one, so...
It is a big enough roof to potentially fit 101 people, so...
it's going to need to. But yeah, so essentially this entire chapter is just more of Kusuri's drug gag, but with like the other girls, so there's different interactions, and like there's some funny ones, there's some not funny ones. Like it's very much throw paint against the wall, see what sticks.
That's why, whilst by this point I've been endeared to a lot of the characters, it never really totally won me over, because the X-Men nature of it means that if a joke doesn't land, it kind of fizzles out for you.
Yeah. My favorite bit is, as I alluded to earlier, Nano is given a drug to increase her efficiency by giving her prehensile hair, which is just Love Deluxe from JoJo's Part 4.
Yeah, it's literally Love Deluxe.
Well, I was just going to ask, does she actually keep, like, beyond the demonstration of this?
Well, she's told if she uses it too much, she'll go bald, and Rentaro is like, I would love you even if you were bald, but I also like your hair. And she's like, okay, well, no more of this.
But we do get a very entertaining string of panels where Nano uses her stand to pull in Rentaro for a kiss, and she's like, yeah, no, I like this. This is good.
The main takeaway from this chapter is it ends with oh god, Kusuri's got a whole like weird bit about needing to pee all the time that I'm not a fan of, but
yeah,
I hate it.
But hey, different strokes for different folks, I suppose.
I managed to forget that because that doesn't come up a lot in the last bit.
Well, it's her excuse for why I always need to leave my drugs. Unattended. Like it's a funny bit for I need to leave these dangerous chemicals unattended, or I need to leave in the middle of explaining what you should do with them. So it's like that's kind of funny. It's what else they do with that I'm not a huge fan of, and we're kind of gonna skim over that.
We're just gonna move on from that because it fortunately doesn't happen near the end of our reading. So
the whole thing is she left some tea, and there is two thermoses that she goes, okay, one of these thermoses all the girls can drink, and then one of these thermoses only for Rentaro. Male use only is what the little diagram says. And I'm like, oh no.
They don't immediately recognize what's going on is suspicious to me, but otherwise we wouldn't have the gag.
Mm-hmm. Well, obviously, it is the larger thermos that is for more people, and therefore the one that contains the tea for the girls, right? So we'll drink from that one. And Kusuri comes back and is like, no, the larger thermos was supposed to be tough and masculine to symbolize that it's for a dude to use. No!
Kusuri, why are you so upset? What could possibly be wrong? Rentaro's just like,
I might have spiked the tea. You what? I might have spiked the tea in order to make you want to kiss really badly so that we could kiss.
Kusuri,
You could just
what does that mean? I might have made kiss zombies. Oh no!
no. And thus begins the much anticipated Resident Evil arc.
It's literally called Kiss Biohazard. Like it's they are 100%. These are what essentially has happened is the other girls have been their natural desires to want to smooch Rentaro have been accelerated to the point that is overwriting their personalities. And if they are not given an antidote within the course of an hour, I think, they will stay like that forever.
It eclipses their personalities. It doesn't entirely overwrite them, as we learn.
It will overwrite them is the thing.
Yeah, it's in the process of overtaking them.
They have exactly an hour.
Yep.
And so it's like, we need to go back to the chem lab and make more of the neutralization drug. Let's run. So the other four are just running after them going, kiss, kiss, kiss. And
they have a full like XCOM communication with each other. Kiss, 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 kiss. With like hand symbols of like, oh, they're going to do a pincer maneuver.
As I would expect from Nano, this is the most efficient way of trapping us.
Because Kusuri and Rentaro have decided that they need to get to the lab so Kusuri can make some antidote. And the girls are hyper militarized. And in my favorite scene for this entire reading, they are being chased by
Shizuka.
Shizuka.
Yeah, Rentaro is caught by caught.
No, it's not. Shizuka trips.
Shizuka trips. And caught has air quotes. Shizuka trips, and he's like, "Oh no, I have to attend to her. She fell." And he carries her into the infirmary, and he's like, "Okay, so I've dealt with the
this was a trap." And then she proceeds to kiss him.
And he's like, "Oh no, I'm getting dizzy. I need to find a way out of this." Ah, yes. Perfect, a solution. And he picks her up and threads the sleeves of her vest through a coat hanger and leaves her hanging on the coat hanger.
Leaves her hanging, and she's like, kiss, and can't move. And I'm like, that's so funny.
A devious and dastardly trap.
Well, no, the devious and dastardly trap is the next interaction.
But yes, pro tips for anyone out there. This is actually the optimal way to immobilize halflings in Dungeons and Dragons. Anyway.
But yeah, next we have Hakari and Karane.
They are both, I forget exactly how they do this. I don't think the manga really cares to make it
the manga doesn't care about how it happened. They just wanted to get to it.
They both tackle down Rentaro and Kisaru, and they come to the conclusion that they both just want to kiss. And also, Rentaro comes to the brilliant deduction of, they fight all the time. That must mean they're very good friends. Very good friends like to kiss.
Well,
and then,
I'm just saying there's a fine line between hatred and love.
Yeah, because
some overlap there, just because it's such an intense emotion. Anything.
One of my favorite lines from the narrator in this entire reading is the two main girls start making out, like, full on.
Oh yeah, there was some tongue in there. Zoom into that.
They zoom in.
Rentaro pulls away and while the kiss zombies are distracted, turn their faces towards one another and go, "Now kiss." And they do. Yep. And how they do.
And then Rentaro's just like, what good friends they are. That's clearly a sign of their on this side. And then the narrator boxes. Rentaro is using a very different definition of the word friendship.
I mean, don't you make out with your friends the whole time?
Don't you kiss the homies goodnight?
I am so glad I am a hermit.
Yeah, you just got to give your homie a little smooch.
Yeah, kiss the homies goodnight.
Bye, guys.
Good. Now that Jacob's gone, we can talk about the smut.
Yes.
But yeah, no. Well, no. Hey! I'm all about talking about this smut. I enjoyed this quite a lot. And to be fair, to Rentaro, because he does have the immediate reaction of, "Oh, they're such good friends." But then, after they do enough of the zoom-ins, Rentaro isn't paralyzed, isn't unable to run away because he's been tackled. He's unable to run away for other reasons.
Yeah.
He's sitting there like, oh, now's not the time to get entranced. I have to go.
I think who's the drug enthusiast? What's her name?
Kusuri.
She has to pull him away, actively pull him away.
Oh, yeah.
Rentaro makes it to the chem lab, except Nano is there, and he has to hide in a locker. And he's like, okay, now, so long as I can distract Nano, then Kusuri can start making the antidote. And Kusuri, why are you in here? I had to hide. She's too smart, even in her zombified state.
She knew I was helping you.
It's like, okay, so I have a little bit of the neutralization drug. Ah, yes, excellent. I should be able to force Nano to take some of the drug, and that will get her out of this, and that will give you plenty of time to... Wait, Kusuri, why are you drinking that? Oh, well, obviously, if I'm in a different state, then I'll be able to...
Well, no, that's Rentaro assuming that's why she did it. She's just like, I was nervous.
It's okay. You can get away with being in a different form that Nano doesn't know, and you'll be good. And Kusui steps out of the locker, and she's like, I don't know if we've mentioned it yet, but Kusui speaks in the third person. Nano looks at her, and she goes, Kusui is just going to the laboratory. I knew it. And ties her up.
Yeah. Which ultimately ends up working out, because then Rentaro runs away, and because she didn't have very much of the neutralization drug because of shenanigans, she reverts back to her child self, and
she reverts back to small form and escapes the bindings, and then the day is saved.
And then does the thing, yeah.
It makes the neutralizing drug, gives it to Nano just before it's too late, and reveals she's already given it to everyone else. And
she hadn't given it to everyone else because one of the bonus chapters was about how it was really hard to give it to two of them.
Karane and Hakari, they had to physically pull the two of them apart because they're
such good friends.
Their Yuri makeout sesh just kept going.
Oh, God. Okay. So next little adventure they go on, they go to the park. I believe it's Hakari's suggestion. And this park has the weirdest tradition ever. It's a monthly event where they throw a bouquet, and the winner who catches the bouquet is allowed to take a picture in a wedding dress with it's a picture in a wedding dress with presumably the guy you're with in a tuxedo, but that's not stated as the goal.
Hakari has wanted this since she was small bean.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Wanted it so much. And essentially there is a group of guerrilla biker gangs.
The Guerrilla Alliance.
I was very disturbed by this characterization because I honestly thought they looked like pigs.
Yeah, they are beast men, to say it lightly.
They are closer to the Bokoblin gang.
Is it led by the vice principal, or is it just that same style of person?
No, it's the same. It's the same style of person because we see the vice principal. She's the one who's throwing the bouquet.
Ah, okay.
This is the other time that we see her, and I'd much rather see her make the joke of, may I pitch this into the stratosphere so no one can be happy? I'd much rather see her in jokes of that context than the other context.
When she got splashed with acid in the Resident Evil arc, and the acid only ate through her, like, thick caked on foundation.
And Kusui has a crisis of, my drugs can be stopped by foundation. Everyone knows that modern science doesn't work on monsters. We're running now.
Boom.
which is like a 5-layer deep joke, and I love that one.
But anyway, the girls all work together because this nice, fun catch the bouquet game turns into a training exercise for the biker gang as they proceed to beat people up. And the
leader has a comically tiny boyfriend she wants to do the thing with.
Mm-hmm. The girls team up, do their cool interactions. I think
Shizuka temporarily becomes Link from Breath of the Wild.
Everything the girls do ends up not mattering because Shizuka didn't really want to participate, so she was given a Rentaro family banner to hold up. And unfortunately, there was a strong gust of wind, so she was taken up into the air, where she ran into the bouquet.
I'm pretty sure she did that on purpose because she looked like she was aiming for it.
The bouquet, yes. Getting lifted up in the air, I don't think was on purpose.
Getting lifted up into the air was quite by accident because the Gorira gang used their super move, which caused an updraft. But she grabs the bouquet, which causes the paraglider to break. She's falling down. Karane is currently using her tsundere powers to fight off the leader of the Gorira gang. So the three remaining Opai GFs, because Kusuri took the neutralization drug, use God's given airbags to stop Shizuka from face planting into the cement.
Sure, why not?
And
why not?
One thing that I did chuckle at is Karane at the end, like, secretly looks over at the leader of the Gorira gang and is like, "Thank you for not making me participate in that." Anytime.
You got it. Sure.
But what happens is, because unfortunately they're in a situation where one of the girls has caught I thought the girl who caught the bouquet was going to be the one taking the photo, but no, they are much smarter than that. They have set it up so that their team won. They are going to draw chopsticks to see who is winner. And Hakari, the devious perv she is, was always planning to cheat on this.
Yes. You see, because I have seen Nano participate in enough games of chance, I know she just immediately grabs the first option in front of her. So I have marked the correct chopsticks that I will be able to grab them, and she will grab the one closest to her, which I will not make. It would be most efficient if all of us grab them at once. Her efficiency eclipsed my cheating!
Oh, everyone's grabbed them at once. Oh, wait, I wound up with the correct one anyway. Huh.
Yay! Kusui, but I wanted to do it. Oh, well, I guess since you really wanted to do it.
I was just being sad for attention.
That was pretty selfish. I mean, you go ahead and do it. Okay.
Hakari is the one in the dress, but they all like Rentaro's like, "Hey, wait, can we all do it?" And it's like, we've only got one dress, but yeah, people do that sometimes.
That plot cul-de-sac done. We can continue on with our merry shenanigans of this
Rentaro,
beautiful, loving group.
Rentaro, I want you to break up with me.
I'm sorry, Hakari. What? End of chapter.
Boom.
And
Yay.
I mean,
that made me sit up in my chair.
I was unprepared for that.
Me too. I sat up in my chair like, oh no.
Now we got to get the drama in.
Drama with the mama.
Gosh, no spoilers.
We have our gag manga contractually obligated arc of actually tense plot.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
This arc is the most serious it gets, and even then, not much.
I have thoughts about how serious it gets, but we'll get to that.
Okay, are you talking about the dog bit or the Mission Impossible belly rubbing?
I'm actually talking about something that they actually tried to take seriously, which I was not ultra on board with.
It basically comes down to there's a bit of back and forth drama at the beginning, but it's eventually revealed that Hakari has said that I want to break up because I can't be with you. I've been telling my mom about everything I'm involved with, how I'm dating a guy who has four other girlfriends at this point, at which point my mom must have decided that 4 was too many and wants me to move away.
I couldn't tell if she meant that she had a heart-to-heart with her mother recently, or if like she's been daily updating her mom.
Yeah, if it had been ongoing.
From what I read, it seemed like the mom forced her to say this. Like Hakari was
Hakari doesn't want to, but
yeah. Hakari was savvy enough to know that her mom wouldn't accept this, and so was not mentioning it. And then mom was like, "So why have you been out so much lately?" "I've got a boyfriend." "And you've been going with a large group of people?" "His other 4 girlfriends." "His what?"
And in all fairness to Hakari's mom, the situation Rentaro is building is not asimilar to Charles Manson. I just want to say that right now.
Her initial reaction is reasonable. As time goes on, it gets progressively less reasonable.
Rentaro goes to Hakari's family home, and it's at this point that we learn that she has more money than God, apparently.
Yeah, the thirstiest one is also rich. How about that?
She got a big mansion, in the middle of town. There's a moment where this is all revealed to the main character. Hakari is dragged away by a figure off screen. Rentaro is very depressed until he rallies his determination and tells the other girls, I'm going to get Hakari. This might end. I might have to leave town with her. I might have to leave you all behind for a time, but I'll come back for you. Don't. This is met with the eminently predictable reaction from Karane in particular of, I'm not doing that. That's stupid. I'm not waiting around. Oh, well, I guess that's understandable because we're going with you, dumbass. We're going to save her too. Like, come on. What are you, stupid? And so they do. They go to set off on their mission.
They do a bunch of Mission Impossible bits where they keep joking that, like, what they're doing is an impossible, like, feat. And some cases it is, but sometimes, yes, the cat of a wealthy family. And it's like,
the cat of a wealthy
how will
family.
we get past? And it's just like, oh, okay. But
it's just a cat. The guards are used to the cat and therefore think that any disturbance outside is the result of the cat.
Yep. And essentially, each girl gets a little moment to shine. Nano uses some weird, like, AI level, sticking her hand through the cat door to throw rocks
At the lock.
in such a way that it activates the tumblers. And the only way she could do that is by flicking them with her fingernails so that when Rentaro sees her hand is broken and bloodied, and he's like, no.
I'm not saying she's an alchemical exalt, but
there's some magic going on there, or technology indistinguishable from magic.
Yeah.
The next one, I love the next bit, and not just because it has a dog, but also because it has my favorite joke in the entire reading section that we did. So
Jacob, please explain.
They get chased out by a guard dog, but unfortunately Shizuka, being the meek little mousy girl that she is, trips, and they're concerned that she's about to get mauled by what quite frankly looks like a greyhound poodle, which not the most threatening of the canids, but okay. But then when the dog actually reaches her, it stops, sniffs her, and lays down protectively around her because it recognizes how meek and frail that she is, which is not my favorite part of the joke yet, by the way.
We have an entire panel of the whole rest of the harem going like, that's our small, meek little Shizuka. You're such a good little glass doll.
And like, there's like a little narration box that has to explain. They're complimenting her, by the way. This is praise.
This is praise.
But then
I'm like, I don't know if I buy a narration box, but okay.
The joke that slew me is, okay, so you're expecting more shenanigans. Okay, fine. That's fine. And it's like, okay, we'll get Shizuka to feed the dog a sleep potion. Okay, cool. So it's like you're expecting some, wacky shenanigans are going to happen with this sleep potion. They toss the sleep potion across the ground to Shizuka. Shizuka, use that. She gives a thumbs up and then downs the sleep potion.
And falls asleep.
I sleep.
Because, like,
no, we didn't explain.
Because, like, the thing is, I love that joke. The thing is, you're expecting something stupid to happen with the sleep potion, but that mundane of a thing to go wrong, I genuinely did not see coming. That just killed me.
How will we ever deal with it now? Oh, she didn't drink all the potions. Some of it ran down her chin. The dog licks it up, falls asleep. What a gift from God!
Yep.
And then they just give her the drug neutralizing drug to wake her up so that they can go on to the next bit of shenanigans, which was also pretty funny.
Yeah, Mission Impossible belly rubbing.
Well, no, not that yet, because they get to the empty room.
Whoa.
And they are like, what's going on here? This is like Mission Impossible. There's probably lasers here, and we need infrared goggles. And Kusuri's just like, whoa, guys. You don't need infrared goggles. I've got a drug here that if you put in your eyes, you can see infrared. And everyone's like, that's hyper convenient. And then they have a super long discussion about meta structures and how, frankly, you're expecting too much of the series. And everyone agrees.
Yes.
Yeah, this was the closest it got sliding back into try-hard territory, but I had endeared myself to the characters enough that I gave it a pass. And then the punchline of this bit is Rentaro immediately puts the drug in his eyes because he hasn't learned his lesson yet. And then for the 10 billionth time, Kusuri explains that, oh, by the way, you will be completely blind except for being able to see infrared light. Why did you not tell me that first?
I thought it was implied.
Oh, they eventually find out that the lasers only go up halfway up the wall because there's some chandeliers that obviously the lasers would like mess up and that kind of ruin the whole thing. And then that's the point where this hallway gets much shorter than I thought it was across, but cool, because they discuss that the way you can do it is if you have two people together, they can walk up the hall as if one person, you know, if it's a really small hallway, you can like climb up the wall by like stretching out. And then they repeatedly say, well, we need to be like perfectly in sync with this person. And Rentaro's just like, well, yeah, obviously we're soulmates, so you don't get more in sync.
Yeah. There's also a thing where we need someone who's really strong. Rentaro, he is big, strong man, but the rest of us are very feminine women, which for the punchline that we get, I'm gonna skirt by that one. And then they all look at Karane, who's like,
why are you all looking at me? Why am I tied to him now? What's going on? He's effectively blind. We had to tie you to him in order to make sure that this worked out. Okay, I guess.
Poor Karane.
I don't want to describe the position they're in, but it has to do with a certain double-digit number.
It's not quite that. But,
it's not quite that. The joke is that it's really close to it.
The joke is that because of how they've been climbing, Rentaro's face ends up rubbing against her stomach because her shirt gets shuffled up a bit. And she is tsundere, so she get real embarrassed, and they get barely over the lasers before she like screams, and she screams because she's in a pervert house, and they fall, but they make it to the other side of
This whole place smells like that dumb pink perv.
It's affecting me.
Chibi caricature of Hakari, the dumb pink perv.
I mean, it's not an inaccurate description of her, to be fair.
Fair. Karane and Rentaro are then on the other side of the lasers, so they got to go on their own, which, very good. Separate some of these characters so that you can have interactions. They make it to Hikari's room. She is crying over the picture of her in a wedding dress, but unfortunately, when they open her door, an alarm sounds that she's trying to escape, and she's like, oh, yeah, you probably shouldn't have done that. And they are immediately captured and taken before... Hikari's mother, who is Hahari, so that's not hard. Hanazono Hahari.
By the way, Rentaro is still blind from the infrared eye drops.
Yeah, he's got his Sharingan on, is what it looks like.
It's incredibly edgy. Have you been smoking the weed? No, I'm giving you the evil eye.
Oh man, and Haruhi gives a backstory that is definitely a backstory.
It is something. Holy shit.
It definitely takes some steps to sidestep some weird questions. I will try my best to summarize it just so we can move past it, because clearly the manga does not care about it. She knows that she's worried that her daughter has fallen deeply in love because she knows that they are very much alike, and probably it's in their blood that when they fall in love hard and immediately. And what she knows... blindly. And what she knows is that when she was 13 years old, she was deeply in love with a man whose age is not mentioned. And because he was dying of an incurable disease, she wanted to keep a piece of him alive. Which also prompts one of my favorite jokes in that, because Rentaro's hearing this and goes, oh my. And she's like, do you know why I had a child at 13? And Rentaro has a full stop and then goes, because you loved babies more than having 3 meals a day. No, obviously not that.
The manga makes sure to explain. So, I became pregnant via artificial insemination. It's like, okay, that makes it slightly better.
That makes it ever so slightly better. I'm still not on board with anything that's going on right now, manga.
In all fairness,
exactly.
Hahari herself acknowledges what she did was messed up and does not want her daughter to do the same. That's the whole crux of why she has locked her child in a room.
The underlying issue she seems to have is that she knows that she was impulsive as a child, and that she knows that her daughter can be impulsive, and that she's just trying to stop. You're being impulsive, okay? We're very similar. I know how it is, but you gotta not repeat my mistake.
because Rentaro is a consummate good boy, this tragic backstory moves him to the point of tears, which washes out the eye drops, meaning he can suddenly see again. And hey, did we mention that the whole discovering the soulmate thing is done by eye contact? And oh no!
Yeah. Speaking of not being on board with certain things, speaking of X-Mening the cast can cause some problems for some people.
I was not expecting this manga to add Hakari's mom to the list of 100 soulmates, but here we are.
She's that MILF.
When I saw the hot mom, I thought manga don't do it, and then it happened, and I thought manga, you did it, and I don't. Oh,
I got to the panel and I was so excited because I'm like, oh man, my trash manga just got trashier. I'm so excited. This is hilarious.
I'm all in at this point.
It's very trash.
In all fairness, it has one of my favorite jokes immediately after, where there is a like solid beep of like, you think, oh, they're gonna like treat this like with a little more decorum, and then there's a full panel page almost mimicking Hakari's of Rentaro, please go out with me.
And then there's Karane sitting next to Rentaro, who is rightly, unfathomably mortified by all of this.
Especially because Rentaro's immediate answer is, well, maybe.
What do you mean, maybe?
Okay,
that's one of your girlfriend's mom.
I mean, contextually, yes, she is the girlfriend's mom, but they also reference the fact that she is 29.
She's 30.
So, no, she is 29.
They say 29, but like that doesn't make it better. 29 versus 30 is the same problem.
I'm not like,
as of last episode, I am 29. I am too old for anything in this.
I'm just saying the reason that her age was brought up was, okay, she had a child very, very young, but also the fact that she's quite literally like MILF status. She's not, because we have the comparison between the vice principal and like this young.
Well, again, this is checking the MILF box.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would have rather not.
They checked that box. This is a trash manga. They checked that box.
It is a trash manga about wish fulfillment in fantastical relationships. Yeah. So obviously things that aren't cool are being ignored for the fantasy of it. I can acknowledge that. So,
and as uncomfortable as it all makes me, I will say she is really funny. So
yeah,
she has some of my favorite bits.
It makes me deeply uncomfortable, but she is really funny. So let's move on from that.
I feel vindicated that a lot of the characters in the manga are as comfortable as I am. So
yeah, no, that helps. That's actually part of where a lot of the comedy comes from.
This is where Karane went from, yeah, I really like her, she's a good character, to best character IMO.
Oh, you mean the lie detecting robot? Because that's my favorite part.
Hahari is like, of course, that was just a mom joke. I totally didn't confess my love for this kid. No, Suri, I have to make sure you're being sincere about loving my daughter. So, lie detecting robot, come on. How do we know this lie detecting robot works? Well, obviously, we'll test it on your girlfriend here. Takes Karane, throws her into the chair. Hey, what's your cup size?
I don't feel like answering that. It's okay.
Lie. I'm B bordering on C. Bant lie. Okay, I'm B lie. A cup, all right?
Well, no,
Truth.
she is B cup, but almost an A cup, because the point is the lie detecting robot needs a very specific truth.
No white lying around this one.
Which is my favorite part of the lie detecting, is because she's a tsundere, you know what they got to do. And she's like, do you like Aijou? And she's just like, yeah.
I like him.
Well, she immediately says no, because she has to say no first and then be forced to, I like him, I guess.
Lie. Okay, I love him, okay? Nah. And then really love him. And then they keep buzzing until it finally gets to, I really, 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 really love him.
More than anything in the universe. Until that one, when lie kept coming out over and over again, Rentaro was like reacting like he was getting punched. And here's Karane like, really?
I see Grandma beckoning me over the river.
And then, obviously, because how the plot is set up, they're like, well, obviously, we need to put Rentaro in the chair now. But then the narrator box is like, guys, you know how this is going to turn out. Let's just give you the abridged version where it cuts immediately to like, hey, do you love Hakari? And he goes, I really, 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 really,
etc.
And I'm like, cool. That I really enjoyed the lie detecting chair. That was really funny.
Another really fun bit was Hikari's mom is like, well, obviously this is a machine and we can't trust its accuracy. And then Karane's like, then give me my dignity back.
So anyway, because
my favorite part of that was the lie detecting machine has a little smiley face on it for detecting truths, and it is crying and betrayed at we can't trust the machine.
But anyway, unfortunately, the next part happens.
We get into my other least favorite bit,
where they decide because they need the plot to move along, and I understand that. And in all fairness, the manga does do its bare diligence to establish that Hakari is very sad and in a dangerous mental state over the fact that she feels like she is causing not only Rentaro but also the other girlfriends strife, because frankly, he could have died in this endeavor and then the rest of them would have lost him. And she's just like, well, okay, if I'm the problem here, I can solve that. So we get an announcement from all the guards that she is going to kill herself. She is standing on the edge of her window, and
I do not think that this manga is equipped for something as serious as that.
I'm going to recuse myself from discussion. Ping me when this is over.
This was
it's not handled great, but like
the worst thing is, like you mentioned, it's not handled great. I don't even think that necessarily it's the handling of it in the moment. The big problem with it is with how like the fourth wall breaks and the jokes and whatnot. This doesn't have the capacity to mood shift to treat it with respect.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It literally, we're in this like lie detecting robot scene. We're just all laughing about just remembering. And it hard cuts to a guard running in saying she's going to kill herself. And I'm like, mood shift. Like,
it's not even that the scene is poorly done. It's that it does not belong in this manga. That was way much a step too far.
So I just wanted to interject that I didn't immediately have this reaction because I initially thought that she was going to try to run away herself and like try to scale the house and everything. Like she had left the window.
I would have been so much more fine with that if that's what it was. But they're very explicit about what she intends to do, and not cool. That was.
In all fairness, it lasts like up 2 pages too, is the thing, because it's almost immediately Rentaro is just like, hey, you know, I really love you more than anything else in the world. Like I keep telling everyone constantly, and I'm very genuine, so you believe me. Mm-hmm. She's like, yeah, that's not fair using, you know, true facts and emotion to sway me from what I'm going to do. And she's like, you know what? Yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to come inside. And because then we still need the drama, she slips. And I'm like, I feel like what you could have done is had her run away and then slip and get the exact same scene.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
Frankly, you could even have the guards say she's planning to kill her, like, because from their perspective, maybe that's what she's doing, but like, just
that's
have her
what it looks like. But like, even have a comedy beat of her explaining, no, I was trying to run away. I don't know.
It's a lot of talking about something that really they put in for a shock value at the end of a chapter and then move on.
Yeah.
Like, anyway, what happens is she's falling. Rentaro jumps, grabs her. Again, they put in a nice comedy beat of he is too short. He is being dragged down by her weight that his feet can no longer reach the ground. And he's like, oh no. And he gets pulled off with her. And then does some weird aerial maneuvering where he climbs down her.
He guides them towards the fountain and the.
More importantly, though, he's like fully willing to take the brunt of the hit if they don't hit the fountain.
Yeah, which is on brand for him.
Yeah. And essentially how this resolves is the mom comes out and just goes, well, you stopped my daughter from killing herself, and you passed my lie detecting robot. I am now fully aware of, I support your relationship with my daughter. And then Rentaro's just like, yes, obviously, I will love your daughter and my other girlfriends for all of my life with all of my power. But Hihara, I also want you to be happy. And she's like, doki doki. And I'm like, oh God.
we get the reaction of each of the other 5 girlfriends, which
I
those
love
reactions were pretty freaking great.
all of the 5 girlfriends are not okay with this in different ways, and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Because Kasari's whole thing is like, she's a widow, and I'm like, Kasari, you being really weird judgmentally is on brand 100%. Also, since we're not going to mention it at any other point, I love Kasari's whole character motivation was that got her to become a girlfriend was, you're right, I've come to a conclusion. I really, really, really love drugs and Rentaro. And I'm like, yep, never change.
We get a reaction from each of the 5 of them. That's your girlfriend's mom. That's my mother. Is the first 2, and then Shizuka's is chaos, which yes. and then the best one, the most efficient way of describing the situation. I forget what the dish is called, but it's a dish with both egg and chicken. It's a rice dish with egg and chicken. I looked that up.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I am so glad I looked up the punchline because that is the best freaking punchline. That is second only to Shizuka taking the sleeping potion.
It's pretty funny. And it's because we got through a plot arc that actually took about 5 chapters to get through, which is a behemoth for this series. We get rewarded with a chapter just called the fan service chapter.
They literally call it the fan service chapter. It's great.
A chapter. We have multiple of these reward chapters, but we only read one of them for the episode.
You're right. That's actually not true. There was a bonus chapter that was
there
also
were a few
reward.
extras sprinkled in.
There were a few bonus chapters, but this is the first full chapter that was, hey, you went through some heavy stuff. Let's give you a reward.
We start off with the mom, who is now low key totally on board with being in the harem. She does not ever explicitly say that, which is good, but like she's on board because she's like, I want everyone to spend the night. And they all go to the bath together, and it's all the girls in the bath. And Karane leaves early because she's just done. She doesn't like it, or what? She enjoyed it, but she's just done at some point.
Well, specifically, you know, they did the bathing thing, and then with Kurose taking the neutralizing potion, the three Oppai ones are comparing breast sizes.
So she's like, I'm done with this. So she heads back to the room. And my favorite detail they do not spend a lot of time on, but is in the background of this panel, they have pushed together 3 beds so that there is 7 pillows.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a fun background bit. Oh, there's such a good scene because Karane's there with Rentaro.
My favorite Karane scene. Yeah.
they just get in. She immediately just goes into like, okay, we're smooching. Oh, we getting hot and heavy. Oh, you rubbed your face on my belly. I get to rub my face on your belly. And then
Karane, this isn't really embarrassing. This is actually kind of nice. Oh yeah. Well. And she She kisses his stomach. Okay, this is getting kind of embarrassing. You can stop. And she keeps going.
Yeah, and it gets hot and heavy. And then door crashes open. Little child Kurose comes in and says, like, "Hey, wait, what are mommy and then Rentaro and Karane both get up and try and defend themselves." And then she chimes it in, but like the entire scene can just be summed up with like, no, mommy and daddy were just wrestling.
Hey, sumo wrestling? I want to sumo wrestle. Let's go.
Yeah, and it's so funny.
I love it.
And then everyone dresses up in cute.
I've been spending too long in here. This house is full of perverts.
The pervert energy is affecting me. Yeah. Oh boy.
Speaking of, Hahari has a whole bunch of cute outfits because Hakari tells her she loves dressing up people like dolls. And all the girls get new cute pajamas. They pay cards. And we get a panel that is, I'm just going to say it because I know Sam will censor me. It is strongly implying that Rentaro and Hahari are going off to...
Can't wait. She full out says, I just can't hold back any longer.
There is no way to interpret these panels other than what I have said. The manga will try and convince you something else happened, and I guess canonically that's true, but they were under no impression.
I reject your reality and substitute my own.
Yeah.
There is some screaming heard, and all the girls are like, oh no, not Rentaro's virginity, and rush up to the room.
Okay.
It starts off with,
Okay. Hakari says, "Mother, head starts are unfair," which is so funny to me because Hakari's mindset is literally, my mother banging my boyfriend, I sleep. My mother banging my boyfriend before me, real shit.
There's the extraordinarily suggestive panels, and then it cuts to them playing Old Maid or Go Fish or something, and like they're like, why are Rentaro and your mom not coming back? How long does it take to get a glass of water? And Hikari's like, what? No, don't think anything weird. My mom would never. And then there is they hear a scream that has hearts at the end of the speech bubble, and Hakari is leading the charge, torches and pitchforks.
But because this isn't that kind of manga, they are not doing the deed. Instead, Hahari has a little bit of a fetish for dressing up, and as we've established, loves dressing up Rentaro in cute girls' clothes, and everyone thinks he is a very attractive girl.
Femboy Rentaro, I was not ready for it.
And he is so embarrassed he passes out.
Yeah, none of the girls were ready for it either.
I turned that page and I was not ready for it. No, he doesn't. He passes out from embarrassment. It is specifically after all the girls go, they are drooling over this.
I mean, when even Nano reacts that way.
Yeah. It's like, oh no, he's passed out. He's dead again. How do we deal with this? Wait, a sleeping princess? There's only one way we can handle this. And Hahari goes, Nano, come with me.
5 minutes later.
5 minutes later, short hair Prince Nano, and oh boy. This chapter just keeps happening, doesn't it? Yep.
Once again, all of the girls are very, very pleased with this development.
My favorite bit is Shizuka just mashing on the text-to-speech, my knight, my prince, and snap, snap, snap from the camera. Look, Shizuka is of culture. She shares a name with my favorite character from a novel I have read, who is also a woman of culture. So, I'm not saying this name has power, but it does.
Prince awakens the princess with a kiss. Gag ending.
Which is like a half a page. It is something out of Aran High School Host Club.
It really do be. Rentaro goes away to sulk. All the girls are out of the bath, so I'll just take a bath now. And the joke we end on is another pretty good one. Hahari, where are you going? What do you need that rope and that camera for?
Oh, we're going to peek on him in the bath. What else?
My favorite part is, from what I can tell from the next chapter, I think they just continue with this story.
Oh my god. That sure is a thing that just happened.
So, anyway, we've come to the end of our reading. All right. The tagline that this manga was pitched to me on from John, hi John, the harem manga where everyone is best girl and no one loses. But of course, there is no such thing as everyone is best girl.
Everyone has their own unique tastes.
The question that will exist until the end of time, who is best girl? Of what we have so far...
Like, you don't have an immediate answer from what we have so far. I detest your weak mindset, Sam.
It's Karane, okay?
Yeah, obviously it's Karane. She's clearly the best.
Yeah, it's Karane.
Hard disagree.
Good. I'm glad we have some disagreement, because all three of us jumped on the Karane is the best train real quick.
What do you think, Jay?
My thoughts, and this is just personally my preference, is I tend to gravitate more towards Kusuri. Like, her character is just like, she is super obsessed with something that is so wonky and so out there. I really appreciate her energy and the fact that she's also able to kind of bring that out of the box thinking and also provide that like humorous beat. I don't really gravitate towards the overtly sexual characters because personally, I think they're a little flat.
Well,
obviously not physically. Yeah. Let me finish my point. Obviously they're quite pleasing to look at and voluptuous, but I'm saying like personality wise, like this is not someone you would have a, as they like to say, together forever and ever relationship with. You go on a shelf. Personality matters to me. Once they're so like semi one-dimensional and just lusting after you all the time, that kind of gets annoying. somebody who has hobbies and interests outside of that.
I vibed with all of the girls in different ways, phrasing. But
No, he literally vibed with all of the girls.
in particular, Hakari, because thirst monster, yes, okay. And I liked Shizuka's bit. And as secondary straight man, she was very amusing from a character angle. Karane was best girl.
Yeah,
IMO.
For me, it's pretty easy. Blonde, well-written tsundere, sign me up. I mean, I might be showing my hand there a little bit, but I don't care.
Jake, I do nothing but show my hand on this show.
This is a side of Jacob that I was not aware that he had. Yes, really.
Oh, wow.
With all the TTRPGs we played together? Come on.
With what you played together. You don't play RPGs with me.
Oh, my God.
I mean, how often do you see those Steam notifications? But I mean, I also have handhelds.
Not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
But yeah, anyway, blonde, well-written tsundere, the straight man of the group, you know, like a lot of the cases where maybe certain elements of the premise went a little bit too far. And the fact that she pointed out how stupid and awful it was gratifying in its own way. I mean, like, obviously the two that, from a generic perspective, that you're supposed to endear yourself to the most to are Karane and Hakari. And one of the things that I noticed pretty immediately is that the two of them have such a chemistry with each other. Like, they have a chemistry with Rentaro as well, but like the three of them have a dynamic that I loved a lot. And so I enjoyed Hakari a lot too. But the rest of them were really more like they're funny joke characters as far as I was concerned. If you're going to ask me who best girl is, I mean, I'm not going to say you had me at blonde, but that definitely got my attention. And then everything else was great too.
I'm going to jump in with a second favorite for Kusuri. Mostly because her bit can get annoying, but like one thing I really do appreciate from her is like the weird, wacky, like kind of pseudo magic thing that's coming out of there gave me the Kiss Biohazard arc, which is one of my favorite arcs. And like,
Admittedly, yeah.
Her being part of the cast elevates it from what would just be like some mundane like high school drama angle, like we got with Shizuka and Nano.
Mm-hmm.
And like those just had like typical dates, and then we get like the full on like, ah, yes, kiss, 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 ah, yes, zombies, and I'm like, oh, cool, that's really cool, that's wacky and wild, and like it's justification enough, and I really appreciate her angle from there. And I don't know, maybe I do have a soft spot for like the aloof genius who doesn't really care about human rights. Like kind of a weird, like in like a fictional sense, obviously not as a real person.
Yeah.
I'm not sure anyone would like any of these people as real people, but like as a comedy beat, like it's got some fun there.
To be fair, she did facilitate the best several panels in that Kiss Biohazard arc. I have gone back to that more than once.
Taking a look at the discussion notes here. Jacob, you're going to ruin everyone's fun?
Yeah, I'm gonna grump a bit.
He said facetiously.
I'm gonna grump a bit. Okay, so this is actually a serious thing because it actually parlays into our last usual discussion topic. I'm kind of concerned that, like, so far the series has done a really good job of actually balancing all of the characters. Literally 100 characters, I don't see how it can maintain that long.
Admittedly, I had similar ideas.
My immediate thought is 11 is still an absurd, silly number. And then at least you could keep track of everybody, because there comes a point when you, like, there's only so many people that you can store in your mind. When there was that whole off on the wrong foot from the beginning, I was concerned that I would be able to retain my attention for the 20 chapters that we did. And it got me back, but like, how long do you think you can maintain this bit?
Admittedly, I was of a similar opinion. I did say that my experience with this came about in the pre-Exalted chat, and Exalted Lore Deep Cut. This sort of clerical error, this is how you get fired from the Cerulean Loot of Harmony, because any game master would kick your ass straight out of the group for having this be a bit that your blue sidereal had to clean up. because that is too many characters to keep track of. My brain is already frying thinking about it. So, actually getting to 100 girlfriends, I would be exceedingly impressed if they did pull it off. I would be very curious to see the attempt, but I don't have a ton of faith.
Yeah, I'm in the same position, especially because, again, I really like the dynamic of the three mains. I'd probably read the series if it was just the three of them, you know? But
Same.
I mean, like, you know, still, the characters that we got introduced to, I'm not saying get rid of them or anything. I enjoyed them just fine. It's just I'm saying I feel the series could have maintained on those three. That's sort of the immediate reaction I had once I realized everyone's sticking around for every bit.
I can already feel Yukiko Nozawa getting very scared at the idea of having to draw 100 unique faces for those react panels.
Oh no, I have to draw 100 cute girls. What a terrible job as a mangaka.
Okay. Obviously, there is a divide between what I think is feasible and what
Mangaka think are feasible.
Yes. See our previous episode.
I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think the 100 girlfriends really even needs to be attainable. I don't think that's the point. I think that's just an arbitrarily large number. And I think moving forward, what you're probably gonna get, if I had to wager a bet, is you're gonna get like one-off girls where he does like the I meet a new girl, I do this bit, and like there is some excuse why they are not there all the time. Like here's the thing. Maybe they go on vacation. Maybe there's a cute girl on an island and he's like, hey, I'm going to keep writing you. And because you know it's Rentaro, he's literally writing a letter every single night.
Pro relationship tip, which I did not learn until far too late. You don't literally need to be interacting with them 24/7, 365. That's actually unhealthy. And if they're making you do that, that's bad. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of something like that. That does actually, that is a fair point.
So I'm going to be honest. I could see the manga ending arbitrarily before it's 100, and then the last chapter is just like, and here's the other girls. Like, I don't think it matters is the thing. Like, it's just a...
You're right. This is an arbitrarily large number, so they can keep going until they stop making money and they stop getting serialization from whatever
publisher.
This is
Young Jump, right?
Or Young Jump, yeah, because they make those jokes that Hahari's thing can't happen because we're in Young Jump.
This keeps going through serialization until Young Jump says you're not making enough money anymore, so you're done. And the final chapter can just be, and here's the designs of every other girl. Have fun with this, fan community.
This was just supposed to be a cute little snack. So I personally did not become super invested in it.
And that's a fair take. As I think has been thoroughly understood over the past year of this podcast, Jake and I think too hard about things.
There is entertainment to be gleaned in overanalyzing things, but just because you can overanalyze something to death doesn't mean that there's a problem with it.
Yeah. And I think that'll segue nicely into the actual question we have of like, would you continue reading? And I don't know, Matt here. I had fun reading this. It wasn't like awful. I didn't expect much from it, and I didn't like need to expect much from it. It was fun. I don't think I'd read this on my own. If someone told me something really cool happened, like if someone tells me there's another plot twist as good as finding out that Hakari's mom is one of the soulmates, I will read those chapters to get to that, because that page turn where I'm like, oh no. Oh no! If I can feel that again, I will chase that high. But yeah, as far as like, do I feel engrossed with the characters? It's a fun popcorn read. It's not something I would like read religiously, but like I might check it out again. Like a casual, I would continue reading, if anything.
I give the same response. This is the sort of thing where it's like, hey, I wonder how that harem comedy manga is doing, and I'd read a few chapters and I'd be like, yeah, it's doing about how I expected, and it was very entertaining. I'm going to move on now.
I'm in a similar place, but like the big thing is I probably wouldn't on my own. As much as I enjoy this sort of thing every now and again, between my slow reading and the fact that these sorts of things are guilty pleasure popcorn reads at most, I never really get around to them. I kind of wish I knew more of a sampling of this stuff. And I feel like if I did, I'd have more of a preference for something in particular that would push this out. But it's a fine popcorn read. And hey, if another Valentine's Day or some other excuse to check this series out on the podcast again, I certainly wouldn't complain about that.
All right, and Jay, would you continue reading?
I would have to concur. I probably wouldn't read this on my own. As someone who is a fan of the genre, I have others that suit the need. My main thing, of course, as I went on a mini rant on, was just I don't necessarily like the over-sexualized characters. It's very boring to me. So if that's going to continue for theoretically 100 more girls, I'm kind of just like done.
Oh,
we have so many more tags to get through.
Jay, actually, I just remembered now. What was the cute thing about the names?
So Shizuka, Shizuka is quiet or silence in Japanese, so it's adorable. And Kusuri is like drug or medicine.
Oh, that's funny.
And I believe the narration box said that Hahari is a pun on the word for mother.
Aha.
So
Yeah.
So literally, her name is MILF.
Yes.
Basically.
She is the MILF character.
Yep.
You got onto that.
I know.
Again, if after 2 hours of this podcast, you thought this manga had any subtlety to it. Thank you all so much for listening to the OverMangaCast. Once again, we are on all of your social medias where we are at OverMangaCast. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram for all of our premiere show hosting and terrible opinions.
Head over to YouTube and comment about why we're wrong about who Best Girl is. Check us out on your favorite podcatcher of choice. Some of those are letting you review individual episodes. And of course, reviews for the whole series are very much appreciated.
And if you have a manga you want us to read, pester Matt about it by DMing us on Twitter.
I will probably listen to you.
Probably. That's the best he can do. And tune in next week where we are heating things up even further by doing a long-awaited revisit. We are getting back into Fire Force with chapters 21 through 38. So read those to keep up with the show, and we will see you all next Thursday. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Hey, you. No. Don't look over here. Keep your eyes on the road. Got something for you. Take a listen to this.
And depending on what you give them, some people don't like some stuff.
I figured that out too.
What, did you give like a dandelion to the hobo and he's like, you think because I'm homeless I want this trash?
No, I just walked around giving people gifts, and everything I gave everyone, they hated. So I was like, all right. I was fishing, and I was just giving people fish. I was like, here is a sunfish. And they're just like, what am I supposed to do with this? I'm like, I don't know, eat it! It's a fish! Release it back into the water. I don't care.
Wait, what would you say if somebody, like the new farmer in town, just gave you a fish while you were walking down the street, minding your own business?
If I lived in a rural area where people ate, like, there's a fisherman. That's all he does in the village. So it's like, I'm sure fish become gifts, right? Like, that's gotta be a thing, right?
What are you saying right now? Fish become gifts?
Here's some food. Like, it's just like, here's a cake, but here's a thing that is nourishing to you.
You're telling me that you get the same gift value out of giving somebody a cake as you get from giving them a raw fish?
Well, no, because the fish is... Whatever. I'm sure someone wants the fish. Maybe they're the ones I'll marry. The ones that want the raw fish. If you like what you heard and love co-op with your friends, check out Gaming Together, a cooperative podcast. That's Gaming Together, a cooperative podcast.